Chad, let's get to you with your pick for disappointing start to the season.
Yeah, my pick for disappointing start kind of sticks with the theme that Casey started. Picking a team who we were pretty high on to start the season, but has been underperforming for various reasons. So I'm going with the Pittsburgh Penguins. You guys both know that, I'm a big fan of Pittsburgh and what they've built there, and I think they're still better than people give them credit for. So Pittsburgh Penguins, they were my horse at the start of the year. We had a big debate about, who was better, them or the Washington Capitals, and it turns out it doesn't matter because neither are very good to start this season. But I'm picking Pittsburgh because their record is 4-6-2. They're 7th in the Metro, and if you were just looking at those surface level numbers, you would think that they have just been getting smoked every night and are washed up and done. But I just want to say that there's a few reasons why I'm not overly worried about this team, and I'll get into a few kind of surface level and a couple of advanced numbers here quick, and then we can kind of have a conversation about it. But they started the season 4-0-1, as I'm sure you guys know, so that was, great for me, as, I made kind of the bold prediction that they were much better than Washington to start the year, and then I was like, okay, this is great. This lives up to everything that I expected this team to be. 4-0-1, perfect. Since then, they've lost 7 straight games. Okay, they're 0-6-1, and they've blown a couple leads too. Like Harper, famously, they blew that lead against the Sabres. They lost 6-3, and Buffalo scored how many unanswered goals in that third period?
5.
Oh, well, there you go. So, that's a bit concerning in and of itself. But here's a few reasons why I think, Pittsburgh is better than their record indicates right now, and I'm not overly worried. And I'm kind of having my fingers crossed here that they're going to be good. Sid, Gino, and Gensel are all over a point per game, so there's no worries there. Letang as well is having a good season so far. They've been good offensively at even strength. They're 7th in expected goals percentage at even strength, 5-on-5. In all situations, they rank 9th, which, to be top third of the league, that's not nothing. The goals are going to come eventually. Jarry and DeSmith have both been slightly below average, but nothing too concerning. So that's, if that comes back to normal and Jarry's able to be, even half as good as he was last year, I think they're in for, a few wins stolen by their goaltending, which is good news, good to hear. And right now, it just seems like they're giving up too many chances for a team that is supposed to be elite. So I'm going to chalk that up really to a few guys on the back end learning a new system and getting, acquainted with this new look on the back end. And I'm talking about guys like Jeff Petrie, Jan Ruta, etc. So I think there's a few things working against the Penguins right now. Their record is not very good, but overall, I'm not super concerned, but I had to bring them up as a disappointing team to start the season because I was so high on them at the start.
Yeah, well, I can tell you that they probably wouldn't have blown those leads, and they'd probably be doing a lot better if it wasn't for one trade in the offseason, because they gave us our best defenseman. Thank you very much. If they had John Marino, no problem at all. Or maybe it was a system. I don't know. Maybe he couldn't succeed there, but man, that is making them look silly right now with all these chances they've given up.
Yeah, well, Ty Smith is in the minors too. That's a problem.
Yeah, well, it's not like Ty Smith is going to stop opportunities for the other team. That's not really his MO.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely a concerning start for the Penguins, losing 7 in a row and being 4-6-2 out of the gate, like you mentioned, Chad. And I mean, they don't have anyone else to turn to other than, the guys that they decided to hang on to. They decided to keep the band together. As the season continues to go on and as we get into, February and March and what have you, I'm not too worried about this team moving forward, but the start is obviously concerning, and, they, like I said, they decided to keep the band together, and this is kind of what it's showing off the start. And just my concern is it's not with the big guys, obviously, the Crosbys, the Malkins, the Gensels, the Letangs, and whatnot, but it's sort of that second layer. You just don't really know what you're going to get out of the Kasperi Kapanens, who it seems like there's a guy right there that has had a kind of an up and down time there as a Pittsburgh Penguin, and you don't know what you're going to get out of the Teddy Bluegers, and Jeff Carter is not getting any younger, and are we going to see Jeff Petrie come back to the Jeff Petrie that we know he can be, and is the goaltending going to hold up? Can Tristan Jarry have another strong season like he did last year, and all of those things? So, it's the same question as the Capitals, although the Caps, I think, have a little bit more leeway because of all the injuries, but it's... both of these teams are in the same spots, and the core is getting older. They don't have a lot coming, so this is what they've got, and they just have to ride it out. And again, as the season gets going, I'm not too concerned, but it can't be just your star players trying to do everything every single night. They need those guys in that second layer to step up a little bit and provide some secondary support.
Yeah, I would say that this team, they should be turning it around soon. Like you said, you have your superstars clicking. Eventually, you're going to get that depth support. And they are a team that has kind of controlled the play and the opportunities. I think they're top 10 in both like Corsi percentage and expected goals for, trying to make sure that we don't become an analytics podcast, but it's inevitable at this point. Yeah. Those are the numbers I look to see if a team is still controlling the play. There's teams that you expect to be better, and when you see those numbers, it's maybe a lot of luck. There is a stat that they kind of tie to luck. I forget if it's PLOD or PLDO, and it's save percentage plus expected goals for, or shooting percentage. And I know that they are in the basement when it comes to that stat. So a lot of bad luck so far with the Penguins, and a lot of guys who I'm sure it doesn't really go to their head in Pittsburgh because they've been here and they've done this.
I was going to say, it's not their first rodeo. There's a reason they brought the core back. I'm not worried about that. I'm not even worried about the depth scoring because, like I mentioned, they're still generating their chances. They're still getting their chances. The problem has been on the back end. They're just giving up too many chances for a team that's supposed to be elite. Like you'd like to see a team like Pittsburgh in the top 10 in a stat like expected goals against, right, in terms of the entire league. Like you'd like to see them give up fewer expected goals than a third of the teams in the league, because that's what Pittsburgh is known for. They play good offensively and defensively, and right now the back end just isn't clicking, but they're still getting their chances up front. So like I said, I'm willing to chalk that up to a few guys kind of getting used to that new system that they're playing in, Petrie, Ruta, etc. But I think, as long as they continue to kind of work through these kinks and I don't think it'll be that much of a problem, which is, and I know we've talked about Washington already. We're not supposed to be talking about them because we each picked one team to talk about it having disappointing starts. But Pittsburgh doesn't really have they're not getting the benefit of the doubt this year like maybe Washington will if they miss the playoffs, right? Like if Washington misses, everybody will say, okay, that might be a wasted year, but how many guys were hurt? John Carlson, Connor Brown, Nick Backstrom, et cetera, et cetera. So Tom Wilson, like big name players, right, who have missed extended periods of time. Whereas with Pittsburgh, like you've kind of got all your guys there. Like none of your big guys are missing, so you're not going to get the benefit of the doubt if you miss. Like they have to be good this year, and for that reason alone, like I think this team is going to figure it out. But like I did mention, I had to bring it up. I had to bring this team up as having a disappointing start because I was so high on them to start the year.
Yeah,
I expect them to switch with Philadelphia eventually, and then we'll call it a day.
Yeah, we're only 10 to 15 games into the season here. Like there's a lot of runway left here on the NHL season. So no, we don't have to fire Sheldon Keefe. No, John Tortorella isn't going to win the Jack Adams, et cetera, et cetera. Like things are going to move around here. Nobody's out of the race yet, and nobody's secured a spot yet. So like there's going to be some flip flop, especially in that Metro, which is just kind of turned upside down right now. Not a knock on the Devils, I'll say that, but there's going to be some movement, that's for sure.
And you know what they say, like, even though it is a long 82-game season, that you kind of need to be in it at American Thanksgiving, right? Or else you're on the outside looking in, and it's very hard to make up that ground that you didn't at the start of the season. So, yes, it's early, and it's a long year, but that's kind of the benchmark, is that you have to be in it or close at around American Thanksgiving, and that's not too far away, it seems like. So